Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let us get right to the news.
First story today, Ewan McGregor on facing Darth Vader, and Deborah Chow debunks the rumor of Maul.
It should have never been a rumor. Exactly,
Kylo. We have some additional information from the article being published in Total Film, which comes out on Thursday this week. As we all know, Ewan has never shared a scene with Darth Vader.
Well, not with the masked Darth Vader. He wasn't Anakin anymore in Revenge of the Sith. After when he faces him, he's Vader. Don't give me that look like I just interrupted for a pointless comment.
Well, you understand what I meant.
Yes, I think everybody does, but
he was still
I think
Anakin
a lot of people
to him at that time.
Well, sure, but he is Darth Vader at that point, even though he's not in the suit. He is Darth Vader.
He's not really Vader until he's in the suit.
Oh, we could aggressive negotiations. This one, I think.
So here's what he had to say. And this is a long quote, so don't interrupt.
Okay.
I've never met Darth Vader. I had rehearsed scenes with Vader, but not with the helmet on or anything like that. When we came to do the scene, when they shouted action, he had to come from behind me. I turned around and effing Darth Vader was coming at me. It was like I was 6 again. I'd never acted into Vader's helmet. I'd never looked him in the eye. It scared the shiza out of me. A proper jolt of absolute fear. The same thing would happen with stormtroopers. I'd worked with clone troopers before, but so many of them were CGI. Because when you're actually faced with a stormtrooper with a blaster, it's like effing hell. That's how deeply it's in all of us. I've acted for 30 years, and I've never been genuinely frightened when I'm acting frightened. But I had moments on this that were genuinely quite scary. It's so funny. Even Deborah Chow had this to say when Vader entered the set. There was a moment of silence, collectively, when he first came onto set. Just having Vader standing in front of you is a crazy thing. It's an amazing thing, but it's very intense when you first start doing it. She also came out to quell the rumors that Maul was going to be in Kenobi, saying that Dave Filoni told the story, and he was never considered part of this series. Hayden also teased that his character arc is not done yet, and there's still more to be told. So what do you think that part means? You just think he's going to be in Ahsoka?
I think so.
But let's talk about everything as a whole. What are you thinking?
I mean, it's very cool that, there's such a reverence for Darth Vader. I mean, that in itself is kind of, he's the bad guy too. Like, it's always so interesting to hear people talk about, him with so much respect when he's like one of the worst characters. I mean, when you really look at his deeds, he is a terrible, terrible character. So I get the fear, but there's always that reverence when people speak about Darth Vader.
I love Darth Vader.
We saw him. I know you do. I can see your desk. With
I
all
need
that.
more Darth Vaders. I only
No,
have
we don't.
3 on my desk.
I'm looking into the helmet of Darth Vader and the eyes of Darth Vader every time I turn around to look at you. But seriously, no, I think it's cool, but it's always so kind of strange when you have that reverence for the villain, when he has taken on... I mean, Thanos, too, I think, has achieved a level of that as well, where people, really think of the character. They look past the fact that he's a monstrous character and just he is a great character. Does that make any sense?
Well, yeah, he is a great character. And he's evil.
He's very evil, and I mean that's...
But he's redeemed at the end, too, so there is a heart and soul to his character that's so unique.
He's redeemed in the eyes of his son. He is not... I have this debate a lot with people. Like, I don't know that we can say that Darth Vader is redeemed because he did one good thing. He's redeemed in the eyes of his son, but the rest of the galaxy would condemn him. And, if he were captured, if he had survived at the end of Return of the Jedi and been captured by the New Republic.
Sometimes you only need forgiveness from one person.
Well, that's exactly the kind of the moral of the story is, you can do wrong your whole life. You can make the wrong choice every time, but you still have the choice to make the right choice at the very end. You can still do good no matter how much bad you've done. It's one of the things I love about that final moment.
Right. I like that Hayden said there's more of his story.
I guess. It's kind of an interesting... I mean, of course he's going to say that because he's going to keep playing the character and they have more to give us. But if we never saw Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker ever again in Star Wars, I don't know that we would feel like we're missing anything. And that's not to say I don't want more Hayden, Anakin, or even more Clone Wars, animated Anakin. I'm not saying that exactly, but I don't know that there's like a need for more Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. I think
there's always need for more Vader.
Well, I think in the Kenobi series,
but Vader, yeah.
I think in the Kenobi series we can get more Vader. I think that's a good place for more Vader. I've said that before. I think this should be, this could be almost as much about Kenobi as it is about Vader's hunt for him, and what is Vader up to? What is his kind of mindset at this time?
I just want more Vader.
I know. They know that too. That's why we keep getting more Vader. And as for the Maul thing, I don't know why this became a thing that he would be in this series.
Everyone just ties those two together so closely they can't separate them.
Well, it is a fantastic rivalry between the two, but we know how it ends. I don't think they're going to undo the ending of Rebels, not the ending of Rebels, but his ending in Rebels to...
No, they would never put him in there with Kenobi right now.
No, he doesn't even know Kenobi is alive in Rebels. That's one of the things he finds out in Rebels. Maul finds out Kenobi is alive. So, he could be looking for him in Kenobi, but what's the point of him fruitlessly looking for Kenobi in the series?
Well, we do know at this time he was busy with with his Crimson Empire stuff or whatever.
Crimson Dawn.
And then at one point he actually switches and he's on the hunt. The Inquisitors are on the hunt for him.
Yeah, we don't know what
it's glossed
there's still
over.
room for Maul to have more story, sure, because we don't know how he kind of goes from the end of Clone Wars where we see him escape to how he kind of rises to Crimson Dawn, and then
we know
what happens to strand him on Malachor.
Yeah, but we do know that he is being hunted by the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
They had a name for him and everything.
Well, yeah, they did. We don't know if they were hunting him or if they just know of him.
They were afraid of him in a way, but also hunting him because they know he was a Force user.
Well, it was interesting because Maul was clearly very afraid of Vader. Of course he's going to be afraid of Vader, but almost to the point where they have encountered each other, which I thought was interesting. Maul very much knew who Vader was when he showed up, and there was genuine fear there. So has he encountered Vader?
Maybe he's been captured before or was almost captured.
Again, you mean? He gets captured a lot. Poor guy is always captured. But, talk about a horrible... Not that he doesn't deserve it as the villain, per se, but, he's had a rough life. Darth Maul has not had a good life. But anyway, maybe let's move on to the next story.
So we have a new excerpt from the Star Wars Brotherhood book. Dexter Jettster is back. So this would be the second excerpt from this book we're getting. The first one showcased the very first time that my boy Kenobes met Ventress. This one has a meeting with the beloved character Dexter Jettster and him. They're in a diner chatting about how to approach Nemoidians, and Dex needles him about his old friend Satine. The book comes out on May 10th, so you do have a chance to read it before the Disney Plus show airs.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested in this book. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of Kenobi fact-finding going on.
I hope there are those small connections. We talk about it a lot, like the separation between the books and the comics and the movies and the shows. You do like to see those little threads that you feel like it's relevant to read this book going into Kenobi. Not that it has to be mind-blowing and, oh my goodness, this changed the way I viewed Kenobi. But a connection is always nice to give that sense of cohesion between the characters you see on screen and the ones you see on the page. That's one of my biggest gripes so far with the Disney canon, whatever you want to call it. There seems to be this big disconnect between the two. It doesn't feel like when I read a book about Kenobi, it doesn't feel like that's the same Kenobi I'm seeing on the screen.
Well, what's interesting is there's a line in there about Dex saying he used to work for or in or knows about a black market. So that kind of explains why Kenobi goes to him later about what the saber dart is and where it's come from.
I'd rather have a Dexter Jettster book, right, than a Kenobi book. What is his life where he
He's
knows
had a crazy
Jedi,
life
black
before
markets?
then, yeah.
What is this guy's story?
I'd love to hear the story about how those two met in the first place, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
What cemented their friendship? Well, this book isn't about their brotherhood. It's about Anakin and Obi-Wan's.
Oh, boo. Who wants to read that?
Even though both of the excerpts have been about Kenobi, it's supposedly about the pair of them.
Yeah, it's that business on Cato Nemoidia.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. Even though we got that elsewhere. But, hey,
we can
get it again.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Just overwrite everything. It's fine.
Okay, so moving on to the last story. The last story upset me a little bit.
Oh.
We've got new manga incoming for The Mandalorian in Star Wars Visions Season 1. What's upsetting to me about that is it may not be available in America. So May's issue of Square Enix Big Gungam magazine reveals that both Star Wars Visions and The Mandalorian will have manga adaptations that will debut in the magazine's next issue, May 25th. Sounds like each month will feature one episode from Visions, and it sounds amazing, and I'm really jealous. Big Gungam isn't for sale here in the US, but occasionally the manga it publishes gets put into collection books and sold overseas. That's where Full Metal Alchemist comes from. If people are familiar with that, I'm sure there's at least one person who's like, yeah.
At least one, maybe more, yes.
Well, it's a bigger series.
I know. I was
They've
kind of
other ones,
joking that
too.
there might be... I'm hoping more than one.
So, I mean, I guess that's what I have to hope for. A manga that collects the stories and reprints them. It's okay. I'm patient.
Are you, though?
Sometimes.
No, I mean, I would love to. Manga is obviously huge. I'm surprised that they're not trying to tap more into it. Or they have a little bit.
Well, and manga feels like an appropriate form for visions to come to me in.
For a minute, I thought you were going to read manga and have visions. That was the way you worded it. Sounded strong. I don't know. Maybe that was just me.
Star Wars visions.
I'm like, how into manga do you get when you read it? Jeez, I've never had visions.
You don't let me buy it anymore. It's too expensive.
I don't. Why you always make me out to be the villain? Like, you have so much to read that I ask you, like, are you going to read this? And like, someday. Well, then buy it when you get to that someday. That's what I usually tell you. You have so many.
I want it to now, and sometimes things go out of print. Things go out of print.
Yes, okay.
Or they change the size of the volumes. Like,
okay. Oh, yes.
I bought all the Dune books at once because I wanted a specific type, and they were all the same size. They print them in like 3 different sizes, so that I'm like, great, so I can have the ones that are they're thicker and shorter, or I can have the taller and thin-looking ones, and I want them all to be
about books, right?
uniform. If they're on my bookshelf, I'd like them to all be the same.
Anyway, no, I agree. I hate that when they change the style of, when you're buying a series of something, you have like 3 books, and then the 4th book comes out, it's a different size and different cover art and all these different things. Yeah.
And it usually happens that way if you don't get it right away when it releases. Because they'll stay consistent, and then they'll be like,
usually,
boom, change.
Not always. They like to mess with you. Or when you buy a box set after like 4 movies and then a 5th one comes out, and you're like, why did I buy the box set? Why didn't I just wait?
Why didn't I just buy them all individually right away when they came out?
Or that, yeah. But no, I think Star Wars, going back to kind of the topic, I would love to see more manga. I mean, it's becoming so popular here in the U.S. and everywhere else that why not? I mean, comic books are kind of, in a lot of ways, being replaced by manga, it seems, by the younger crowd. So why not embrace it?
Part of it's because they're longer. I mean, in the price, too. I mean, one issue of a comic book is like $4 to $3. Yeah. $3 to $5. Honestly.
I mean, when you think about that, I don't know, like a Disney Plus or Netflix is, maybe $10 a month. You can either buy like 2 comic books that you're going to read in 5 to 10 minutes, or you can like have a subscription service for a month. So I understand why comics are kind of fading. I mean, when I was a kid, they were 75 cents.
Well, and a manga costs, let's average it to say like $12, $13. And I feel like you get so much more story.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of, issues facing the comic book industry, which is a discussion for another time, perhaps. But no, I'd love to see more Star Wars manga. There's been a couple, and it's been pretty good so far. Like Lost Stars, and what was the other one?
Well, I also have Edge of Balance.
Yeah, there's
a Luke Skywalker one. Yep.
There's the High Republic one, the Edge of Balance.
Princess,
right?
Yeah, High Republic. Yeah. The second one's coming out next month for Edge of Balance.
Yeah.
And I believe Princess Leia got manga.
That one I don't recall, but perhaps it's over there on the shelf. I don't know. There's so many books on that shelf. But anyway, I think that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of Obi-Wan or Ewan McGregor facing Darth Vader. Or tell us what you think about anything else we talked about. So leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.